We are live.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I will
Hi.
disappear for the 10 seconds. Go, Gary.
All right. Artem is going to forward this to his Facebook page. So hopefully that works out smoothly. He's frozen right now. So
Yeah,
what's
but
up?
it's still hearing you. Do you hear me?
I do hear you, but the video's frozen. Are you back?
No, still there. Hello, everybody. You're not seeing me, but I am here.
You're frozen, Artem.
Okay. I'm turning back. Give me 30 seconds, please.
Oh, okay. So,
Okay. Yeah. I'm coming back.
okay.
Here I go. I'm back.
Ah, it worked. Beautiful. I was panicked. Alicia wins being the first one. When you come stay, you get a free t-shirt.
Okay.
Yeah. So, welcome everybody, and thank you as always for coming and saying hi and sharing this time with us.
Yep.
And yeah, so Artem, last week we talked about behavior and dog training. What do you got there?
Yeah. And the difference. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, and the difference
Still
between
there.
those.
Okay.
So we were just,
Okay, I'm back.
yeah, we figured we'd start with, is there anybody that has any questions, some takeaways from last week that you thought were valuable, or some things that you had questions about, or things that we could elaborate on more for you? We, that's what we want to do. We want to take this time for you guys and share our experiences and see if there's anything we can do to add some value. I did get a good question from my friend Angela, and it was Artem. Can you do everything right and still have a problem?
Hmm. Interesting.
What do you think?
Nope. At least if one thing happening, something genetic.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I have that dog with which one I did everything, and she's still the way she is because it's something inside of her, and it's happening no matter if I'm in a situation or she's doing it on her own. Like she's super sensitive to everything, especially sounds. So only genetic.
yeah. Um, what I usually tell people is, I have like a slight learning disability with numbers, and there's no amount of teaching that's going to make that go away. You could bring the best teachers in. There's every situation you could put me in to succeed, but it's just who I am. It's part of what I have. I switch numbers up. It's not, it's just, there's nothing you can do. And that's okay. And I think that's what's important about what I've learned from Brandon and you've learned from Brandon is to, a proper evaluation comes down
Yep.
to learning if the dog can actually physically do it or not. And that's a huge piece of it. Because if they can't and you're asking them, then that's not fair.
Oh yeah.
One of our friends, Rachel, is asking, is it the white dog that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
yeah. She's an interesting
the white dog.
character.
Yeah. She have some type of, I don't remember how it sounds in English, but um, I searched a lot um, that signs that she have in humans, and this is some type of, I actually remember it now, Aspergen symptom, some type of autistic things. So it's also can be with people like, for example, I'm listening music and somebody sitting from my phone. I'm listening music and somebody sitting close to me. And for him, if he have that problem, that sound like something unbelievable. So small sound, ears hearing so much.
Yeah.
There is actually a good movie with Ben Affleck. I can count. He have that problem there.
Yeah. Yeah, that genetic piece is tricky, and that's where, for me, again, the behavior and training comes into play, because so often, like I just did a live feed today on Instagram. So, somebody reached out to me because they're looking for a trainer, and she wanted me to just kind of check out her evaluation, and the person, I think, did a good evaluation, but the treatment plan was the same that I've seen for lots of other dogs. And that's the part that's always tricky to me, is like, how do you have a treatment plan when you haven't really made a conscious effort to understand the dog? I mean, it's more than just, a typed in form from the human with the problem. You also have to put the dog in a situation. And right away they were talking about doing obedience and all of these things, and I'm like, well, is that what you do for every dog? Or, you know, and what if the dog has that problem where they can't, you know, they can't? So then, yeah, um, yeah.
And this is why understanding behavior, real behavior. I'm talking when I'm saying behavior, I mean something that exists without us, that have been in a dogs for many years, and I guess will be for many years also.
Yeah.
Not behavior that when we can create, like bringing beer from the refrigerator, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Not that behavior, but behavior, natural behavior. So that's why it's so important to understand that behavior, because usually when people are asking for help, they don't have problems with dog not knowing how to sit down, stay heel, or things like that. And even if they can do this, it's not connected to the natural behavior, like, for example, dog doing something out of fear or out of prey drive, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple questions. One is this is an interesting one, because it's something that I'm still, one of the things I'm spending a lot of time focusing on myself is really understanding this concept, because it plays into so much of what happens. Is being physically dominant taught or genetic? And also, what's the difference between a mentally dominant dog in terms of controlling its human compared to a physical dog? So, from your experience and physical dominance, is it taught or genetic, or both?
I can say it like 100% sure.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I definitely think it can be a taught behavior.
It is a question that we should ask Brandon.
Yeah, no,
This is
absolutely.
the one who can answer that way more clearly.
Yeah,
Still looking and trying to understand, I will say, because I'm seeing, for example, I have golden retriever right now who is very physically dominant, but it's taught.
mm-hmm.
I'm very sure it's taught, because he's not dominant dog at all.
Yeah,
What he's doing, he have done so many times with the owners.
yeah,
All of he looking on everything, things. He also like to control things. He looking at people, at the dogs, through physical way. An interesting thing that he been here with the cane corso, and he didn't try to hump him. Didn't try to. And another lab came, big lab, the same size as cane corso, and he tried. And I know that lab a little bit softer, so he saw something, I guess, some type of weakness or opportunity to dominate him, opportunity to being dominant with him physically, but Kane Corson, no, he controlled himself.
Yeah.
So if he like totally genetically physically dominant, he will do that to everybody.
Yeah. For me, the mental part of it is how fast the dog can let it go. So if you put a dog in a yard and he's thinking about getting back to his people or wants to attack a dog and it's just so obsessive and they can't stop no matter what, it's very different than a dog who you discipline and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, and then they just go back to what they're doing. I mean, I don't think it's either. I think it's both. I think some of it is learned, and then depending on the genetics of the dog, it can make it more intense. So, it's not one, like that's the thing that can be tricky is it's not one or the other. It's what they've learned and then also who they are before we got involved, who nature made them. Nature made this. We've done these things, and then that's supercharged what they were already feeling. So it's definitely it's a huge piece of the analytical or the analyzing of what's going on when I first get a dog, and articulating it verbally is still tricky for me. I can see it and what's happening, but to talk about it like he would is different. I don't. Trying to think of like, do you know of an exact video that he talks more about that on his YouTube channel? I'll have to dig one up. If I see the thumbnail, I'll know which ones.
Yeah, I also share it.
Yeah.
Don't remember exact one.
Yeah, but it also goes into a lot of what we have to do to then help the dog, because it's how they view the world. So if they're very physical, then how we put treatment plans together versus mental.
Who asked that question? Somebody right now?
Yeah.
In comments? Okay.
My man Joey.
Okay. I guess if the answer we don't know, how much it's learned or genetic predisposition to be physically dominant, the way we should go, and it will help more, is to decide, no matter how much is genetic, how much it's learned.
Yeah.
So this is what we can work with.
That's what we can control. Yep.
A lot. And if he's dominant physically, but he's here genetically and here, because I'm sure that there is also big piece of learned physical dominance in any dog.
Yeah.
Because the way we communicate, and we will dig in it a little bit later today,
Yeah.
So it's better to figure out, and it will be way easier, and it will, I guess, it will help more if we looking at a dog and trying to figure out how much is taught and what we can do with it. How we can show him to see the world a little bit softer and not so physical.
Yeah. It reminded me of one of the situations when I was with Brandon. I was filming a video for him, and there was a pit bull who we both know, and from Brandon's determination, he was mentally dominant and physically submissive. And watching him put the treatment plan together for that took like less than 10 seconds. And what happened from that was amazing. And this dog in particular, what Brandon was saying is, because of who he is physically, we have to do something that touches him, because the touching is what makes him physically submissive. And what he used was a squirt bottle on mist. So we have a pit bull that was lunging and barking, but because of the proper analysis of how the dog viewed the world and how it problem solved, he took this dog and literally had a squirt bottle with misting water. And when the dog tried to get in front, he squirted the dog and the dog backed up. He was like, whoa. He had to physically do something to touch the dog to make the dog then do something submissive, which is what he was looking for. How many times he had to do it was what made the dog mentally dominant. And that's the part that's the tricky, is figuring out how much is genetic and how much is learned. So that to me was right in front of me, a very clear example of what to do. But again, it comes down to learning why I'm doing it. That makes it so much more powerful. Because, I share that hesitantly because then a lot of people just go out and grab, squirt bottles and start squirting everybody's dogs with squirt bottles thinking that's going to solve the problem. But it's really about putting proper diagnosis together that gets you those speedy results and the lasting results, and tells you where to go if there's a little bit. Working with dogs isn't linear. It's not this like, okay, it all of a sudden just gets like this. There's a little bit of ups and downs. So when different things happen, we have to know who's my dog and why I'm doing this thing because it makes sense to them. So yeah, if it's a black and white speckled pit bull on one of Brandon's videos, it was crazy. Like that's the last thing. Yeah.
Also, another dogs can show a lot about that dog which we evaluating and trying to figure out who he really is.
Yeah.
Because, for example, at home and on leash, we can see amazingly physically dominant dog, and then we put in that dog with other dogs, especially with different dogs, especially with really dominant dogs. If we lucky to have those ones, we will see who he is.
Yeah.
And muzzle on if required.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to dig too much into.
Yeah.
Well, not just this, but I don't want to dig too much into specific questions about like your dog because I don't know you or your dog. So when people asks like ABC, like my dog does this, how can you help?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not that I don't want to help, but that's part of what we're going to talk about today is some things that we could all look at in the way we live with our dogs. And by not doing certain things and doing certain things, a lot of our problems can just get better because it's not about, like Brandon always says, it's not about what you do. It's about it's about being for your dog, not doing for your dog. So, because somebody's asking a question about their cat, their dog going crazy after cats. And, a lot of that has to do with the predatory games we do with our dogs. So, when your dog is confined on a leash and sees a stimulant out in front, why does your dog run up to that? That's part of what I try to say to people all the time is, if your dog doesn't know that, why does he feel bold enough to run up to it? Because we don't do that. I look down a dark alley and I see something I'm not sure about. I don't walk down and go, hey guys, how are you? Right? We stay away from things that we're apprehensive of. So this is part of where that learned behavior stuff kicks in. Has the dog done it a few times, got out, chased the cat, and had some success? So there's a lot of different, pieces to it. And that's kind of what we'll dive into today about some things. There is no one treatment plan for all dogs, but there is some things that we can do.
Basic things, which mean a lot.
Yeah, some basic things. And to me, again, it's becoming, I'm sure you run into this a lot, Artem, too. We talk about it as it's like when people, when you come in, if they've either had another dog trainer or they've read stuff online, people are usually overwhelmed by the things they think they're going to have to do. I'm going to have to take my dog in the backyard and do this, sit for 15 minutes or go do this. And it's very overwhelming. And for me, it usually has to do with the person then saying like, no, we're not going to have to do any of that. What we have to do is figure out you and go on an inward journey. And that is work. And it's where the results can really land. So, after you get this too, because you talk to young trainers like I do, where do you go now after you're like, oh crap, yeah, that's right, that stuff hasn't been working for me, or I want to try something different. And I always love this quote: I did the best I could with the information I had at the time. And I just want people to feel relieved. Like, that's why I put that quote on there about confusion. Like, confusion is the best place you can be, because it gives you an opportunity to go up. When you say this is the way, you have a conclusion. It makes you rigid. It makes you static. It makes you defensive when people ask you questions. But if you say I'm confused, it gives us the ability to learn and change. And I personally think it's a great place to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the first thing, I figured we'd just share a little bit of our stories. When you started a certain way in dogs and then you moved into behavior, like, how did you deal with that? Like, the first time you saw a Brandon video or whatever and you were like, oh geez, how did you feel?
I always tried to work with them and understand them from the behavioral side, but everything I did up to 2016 had many things, how to say, I actually didn't, I never saw the results that I wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
I saw improvements, but not, especially when I went to carrying more tools. Like, oh my gosh, I have like many things to have.
Yeah.
Not because I need to buy them, but okay, it's just the dog. He can influence me or environment by using his own body and his own self. And I have prong collar, like another collar to connect prong collar and e-collar, and I should
just sounds overwhelming
to do things like plays and all of that stuff, and he's still doing like lunging at dogs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I definitely I had improvements, but I never been satisfied with results.
Yeah.
And I also had that idea that I can change everything. I just don't know how. And then when I heard that from Brandon, that there is a big piece of genetic predisposition in some dogs,
yep,
then I felt really full, especially with that one white dog that I mentioned. I'm boarding her for 3 years, and she still have that thing in her.
Yeah.
She improved a lot, but she's still the way she is. So, and when I heard, I mentioned it also in previous live feed, when I found Brandon, in the same period of time, I found Jason Badridze. If anybody hearing that name for the first time, this is Georgian scientist who lived with wolves for 2 years in the wild and worked with them, I guess, 40 years, raised wolves and things like that. And getting information from them, like learning what they explained just on videos that they have on YouTube. It was like every video, like oh, wow, so this is it.
Yeah.
This is what I've been searching for. Oh, this is what's really happening.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, leash can be like a problem. It's not about teaching him to heal. It's a problem here, like, and all of that stuff, like pieces of puzzle started to collect in a one picture.
Yeah.
And that picture way more clear right now, because last 3 years I'm living life, how to say, boarding life. I always have dogs.
Yeah.
Different dogs, aggressive dogs, fearful dogs, nuts, dogs who have no big problems.
Yeah.
So, and it helped me to work everything.
Yeah. Our friend Teresa put a good quote: "In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I always want to be a beginner. Yeah. Appreciate you sharing that. That's good, because it is.
What about you?
I don't know, man. I think my tennis background has really helped me in that. With tennis, it's such a weird sport, because it's not like soccer or like our other sports when you grow up as a kid, where you have like a game every Sunday, and you practice during the week. Like you have to make your own schedule. You have to make your own commitment to practicing. So it's a little bit different. And I was blessed late in my tennis career to meet one of my biggest mentors, very similar to Brandon, who man, it's just like you talk to him and just everything became clear. But at the same time, you never felt like you were being preached to, like, this is the way. It was just like you'd say a few things and you're just like, oh, yeah. Like when I'm here, I only have 3 options. Oh, when I'm playing somebody like this, these are 6 things that, and it just became clear for me. So I think early, as Gary Vaynerchuk says, I never drew a line in the sand and said, this is the only way. I think there's many different ways. And I think the most important way is to stay open-minded. Once we get too intellectual about one specific thing, I think we can get a little defensive and it can get a little stale. But that's part of, I think, one of the situations right now is just so many trainers are just like running around going to like every seminar, and it just intellectualizes it instead of actually, how does it feel? Like you were saying, like it felt different. Like, are you really getting the results? Well, I don't know if you are, if you're going to like a new seminar from a new person like every other week. It's just like, you can regurgitate all this intellectual information, but what does it feel like when you go to a client's house? What does it feel like when you look at the dog? Like, how do they feel about it? So it's, I just never really, it's never really about me. Like, I don't really need to be right or feel like I have something to prove. I just want to help people and do the best that I can. So if somebody can tell me something that makes my life easier, I am not stupid enough to ignore that. Right? If some person, that started 3 weeks ago has some piece of wisdom to share, I'm like, yes, oh my God. It's like our friend Kimberly with horses. She comes from a completely different world, but so much of the things are similar. And it's not about whether you have a prey animal or a predator or leash skills or roping or any of this crap that it's about the tool. It's about why do I view my horse like that? Why do I create? Because it's a life journey. It's not just your dog. Your dog's just showing you that. Your car, by taking it to the mechanic and blowing up, is showing you that you didn't change your oil. Like it's just the symptom. It's not. There's different things that have to change. So for me, I've always enjoyed not knowing. I mean, whether it was tennis or whatever, I'm just like, oh shit, I can get better. Oh, okay. I don't need to be, and being a young coach with, I stumbled into a very lucky spot with people that were super talented as coaches. Guys were both in their 50s and working with, people that went on to play pro and, were top 50 in the world or went to Princeton or Harvard or, won national I mean, just like, it was just always, I knew my place. And I just think I always kind of respected that. So for me, I took the confusion, I guess, with a little bit of a stride. I never really cared about it. So yeah, it's just me. But so what do we do next, Artem? And I think Joey already hit on this: is understanding which.
I want to add something.
Yeah.
And results with the dog and how dogs feel after we doing something. This is good indicator. Is that way that we moving on really helping or not?
Well, I think for me, a
Right.
lot of times the trainers blame the owners. Well, they're not doing it or this and that, and they use that as a crutch to hide behind whether they're actually getting results in the dog or not. You didn't practice for 15 minutes. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. It's a shitty owner. You're not doing what I'm telling you. And what I usually find is even if you did what they told you to do, it's not going to work, number one. And number two, you could have made your problem worse.
And this is another topic. It's like misdiagnosis. Yeah. And like treatment from not right treatment at all.
So that's why for both of us, I mean, I'll just blast through this list because we don't want to go forever and take people's time. But the observation part of it is so important for me. People ask me all the time, and I'm sure they do you, is like, how do I learn more about dogs? And I say, go watch dogs.
Yeah.
It's not.
And try to understand what's really happening. Not he's smiling or if his face like this. Oh, he's so sad. Maybe he's calm.
Yeah.
Try to understand what's really happening. Like, shut down everything and watch.
Yeah. Let's say both of us love that one. Is in the search for truth, there's no assumptions.
Yeah.
Just go there and be a blank slate. Go to a dog park. Just watch. I have a beautiful porch, and I sit and watch owners walk their dogs down the street all the time, and I try to get both pieces of it because one of those things that Brandon we talked about last time is the humans can only or dogs can only think like dogs, and humans expect dogs to understand what they want, and that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So when you walk your dog down the street and you're expecting things, but your dog can only think like a dog, that's where the conflict comes. So unbiased observation is our most powerful tool. To not want to see what you want to see. I don't want to prove myself right. I want to look and see how nature intended them to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
let's move through that list.
Yeah, let's do it. So some places to start, that rules that everybody can benefit from. This was yours, Artem. Change your attitude first. Why did you get your dog? How do you see your dog is where the root of the problem is born and exists. Why don't you talk about that for a minute?
I mean, most of us taking dogs to have, most of us having dogs, and the main motivation why we're doing this is to have pleasant moments. Nobody taking dogs to deal with aggression, or at least small amount of people. And and if we looking at the dog that like looking at the dog as his pink unicorn, which is always smiling and throwing happiness and being happy, we already looking at the dog like this, where the dog, it's like the dog is the whole picture of the dog is so huge, and we're looking at him like this and trying to understand, communicate, and for sure we need to control the dog as an animal.
Yeah.
And what's the problem? It's illusion that we're taking only beautiful creature who will be like nice, behave nicely, will love us. It's everything there. like marriage. Yeah,
Hmm.
everything will be only. It will be only happy moments. Everything will be there. So the same thing here, to look at the dog and accept everything.
Yeah.
And
Acceptance.
first of all, that yeah, acceptance. That this is animal first. That's all. This is what we ignore in the most.
Yeah.
From here, we can move forward and figure out what kind of animality it is, what kind of real needs he have, what really makes him happy, how we need to communicate with him to make him understand us, how we, and many things.
Yeah. For me, I always, whenever somebody says to me, I love my dog in a
Mm-hmm.
consultation or whatever, I always stop.
Yeah,
And I always say, what does that
yeah,
mean to you?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
we got to get some clarity here. Like, what does that mean? Because that's probably where we're stuck at. And, I love my dog is usually followed by a list of things that the dog does for them. Cuddles with me on the
yeah.
couch, does this, does that. Very rarely is it somebody that is saying, like, I got this dog because I already hike and I was looking, to add a
Oh, yeah,
social creature to my life
yeah.
and we want to go do things. It's usually some type of emotional.
Hike every day. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, that's where the dog side came from. Is I love my dog, but, and then I
yeah.
would always say, all right, well, here's your dog's opinion, because you're not willing to look at the dog's opinion. You just are what you want, which is a
And
bummer.
I will add a little bit like what that really mean. Most of the time, it's I like to do with my dog things that making me feel good.
Yeah, making
That I
me
love
feel
my
good.
dog,
Exactly.
making me feel good.
Yeah, yeah,
And because dogs, and because the dog, when people doing this, looks emotional and mostly excited, we saying that they are happy too. But this is not relationships, and again, this is
yeah. It's just
another topic.
no,
Yeah,
absolutely,
small
and
piece of it. Yeah.
yeah. So Kimberly, our friend Kimberly, just chimed in, and she obviously is wonderful for us. I mean, somebody that we talk with constantly in our private group, and she says thank you to us, and thank you, like,
Thank you,
tremendously for
Kimberly.
you,
Hi.
Kimberly. I mean, you've changed like so much of what our just sharing Gabor Mate with us is like, man.
Yeah.
I got a great video I have to share with you afterwards. He was on Russell Brand's podcast, whew, talking about world leaders and following instability. Man, wow. He breaks down childhood trauma and all of our leaders and hierarchy. It's fascinating. You will just geek out over that. But she says learning why and how much we are affecting the behavior of our dogs is such a big piece of the puzzle for her. The dogs are our greatest teachers if we are willing to observe them without interference, and that's so
Yeah.
much of I mean, that's even the way I do photography. Like, I watch other people work, and it's like squeaky toys and all these things trying to get these things, and I just appreciate nature. If he's smelling a piece of grass and I get a good picture of that, that's what I want. I want to capture what they want to do, not what I'm looking to get. 200,
Oh.
200,
Mm-hmm.
200 Instagram posts on because his one ear flopped when I squeaked the toy. No, that's
Mm-hmm.
not me. Like, I don't have, and Kimberly's the same way. I want I want one of the phrases I love is you can't remove a dog's identity and expect them to thank you. So I
Oh
can't
yeah.
adopt a dog, make him my replacement child, put him in sweaters, walk him in a carrier, do all of these things, and then expect him to respect me. I mean, would you do that? If somebody took away everything that you were made to do, would you feel good about them? Would you feel like you have to preserve yourself and bark at people and do things because nobody's advocating for you? Yes, you would. So we
And I
just
have
we just have to look at
will
it.
add will add disgusting example, but
Yeah,
I'm using it on consultation, so I will use it
yeah,
here. Like for people who saying, "Oh, I cannot ignore my dog when I'm coming home. I want to say hi to him," and I'm explaining, okay, but you're saying hi to him in a way that humans interact, and you actually not letting him to get away of all of that emotions, because how he can do this to sniff you, and when you're talking, you're using his ears, you're touching him, making him more excited. He cannot even sniff you and settle down. This is how dogs
Yeah.
Settle down when they have interest in something. So, and then okay, you want your dog to be as a human, yes. So what dogs do when they meet? Sniff butts. Do you want to do this? No.
So you get.
So why your dog should doing this?
That's what my friend Beck always says. That's how you get pink eye. Do you know pink eye? That affection in the eye. Yeah, it's like we don't need that. We don't need the sniff butts. That's how we get pink eye. Yeah. So I mean, we'll just end this one real quick. My friend Mark Goldberg has a great quote, and it says, "Your dog will absolutely change his behavior after you go first."
Yeah.
Because that's
absolutely.
the truth. You create their reality. So once you change, they change. And you can't expect it to be the other way. That's just so unfair. Because they're so confined, and so much of what we do is thought to be in their best interest. Without a lot of information, it can get ourselves in a pickle. So affection and hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about it? I have a funny.
There is no affection as we see it in human terms between dogs, and affection has that component of physical interaction, and physical interaction in many in many situations it's connected to hierarchy and figuring out who is who.
Yeah. So one of the things I'll jump into that in a second, but I just thought this was a funny story. So, and do you ever go into a client's home or a friend's home and they'll make sure their dog is more comfortable than themselves? Like their dog will be laying on the couch. Like I had a friend where we were at their house and they got up to do something and they came back and the dog was laying in their spot and they chose to sit somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that was funny because like you had your spot, the dog climbed in it, and then you went and sat somewhere else, and then you're wondering why you can't have other things in the relationship. You know, like wrapping the dog up in a blanket and making sure they look really cute, and you know, all of those things. It goes back to the last thing. It's how we view it, but we also have to look at what is that saying for them, because it's also affecting what we do later. Like you have that one saying, you know, dogs don't disagree in the moment with the kissing and hugging. They disagree later on when you go out and walk, when they're lunging and pulling and barking. Yeah, it's a huge piece of it. So, you know, as Brandon always says, dogs don't live in equality. There is no equality in the dog world. There's only hierarchy. So we have to understand, you know, one of my like moments with him was when he said this one thing, which is basically puts affection into one simple sentence. Every time you touch your dog, you're sharing one of two things. That's it. Two things. Either your weakness or your strength. That's it.
And not physical strength.
Not physical strength.
Of personality.
And that goes into, we have a video of my dogs. Two of my dogs were playing yesterday, and one of my other dogs came in who's definitely a hierarchy, is at the top naturally. That's who he is. And just his strength of personality, not physically doing anything, changed the whole emotion of the room. And he didn't walk in and kiss them and ask them for anything. And when he was done, they went back to playing. But it was his presence created a hierarchical shift. I don't know. I'm not good with vocabulary. And it was just fascinating to me how many people can love and hug their dog but not put eardrops in. How many people can hug and kiss and put a sweater on their dog but can't clip their toenails. And that has to do with how your dog views you. And it has to do with the mental connection that you guys have. The mental connection lets you get to the physical part. It's like any relationship. It took me time to be able to hold my wife's hand, to be able to hug her, to be able to kiss her, right? There's stages of this. There isn't just like,
Oh yeah.
hi, I know you. There's the time that goes into that. And by doing that, now I can walk up and hug her from behind, and she doesn't, it's different than what a lot of people get when they touch their dog. The dog gets more excited, or it gets more, it tries to fight it by getting away. It feels trapped. So, what we do there in those other situations affects when we actually need them. I see that all the time when you go to like dog park or something, and somebody wants to grab their dog's leash and the dog runs off, or grab the dog's collar and they run off, or if they want to get a stick out of their mouth. I have a good video too of me when I was at daycare last year with Teresa. A dog grabbed something in his mouth, and Teresa just happened to be filming it, and I stalked her all around the yard. I did not touch her, did not talk to her until she was just like, "What the hell?" And then she just went like this and spit the rock out and then backed away. That's the way dogs do it with each other. They don't say out, leave it. They make them feel like that's something like, oh, geez. So it comes to that hierarchy and affection, that combo. You have something to add? Anything? You have something here that you... Go ahead. You have something here that you wrote that was also good.
Okay. We need to understand that, and also I heard it, and that understanding came from Nelson Hodges. He said that they are not primates, yeah?
Primates.
Monkeys, yeah, yep. Primates. They're not even primates. So there is a huge difference between how we've seen same interactions. I mean, talking about physical stuff right now.
Yeah.
But in a root, it's not so, it's not so different. If I'll put my hand here to somebody who is not knowing me very well, to somebody who know me but not knowing me very well, he will feel pressure.
Yeah.
And for the dogs, that part means not affection at all.
Yeah. You had written something in our notes that it said affection is oriented to make me feel good. Yeah. Hierarchy is oriented to listen to me.
Oh yeah.
And I always say to my clients, my dog loves it is not a good excuse, because you're also not getting what you want. So whether your dog loves it or not, you just have to make that choice. Do you want your dog to love it, or do you want what you want? And that's where this internal journey comes from, of really making it clear. Is this something that you really want, or do you want your dog to feel good when you walk up and rub their belly for no reason? Because that is, the way you're doing it in your view is one thing, but the way they're taking it is another view. So let's talk a little bit more about personal space. So
maybe you will went through all of that, I guess, 4 pieces, and then we'll just talk a little bit about...
Yeah. So kind of the first couple things that we talked about was avoid petting your dog when they enter your personal space.
Uh-huh.
So many people struggle with that. And it's a byproduct. It's a cause of so many other problems. So that's something that we're talking about here. Very simple. When your dog comes into your personal space, do not physically touch them.
And this is one question that can help for those who want to think about it. Do you know exactly what intentions and thoughts dog have in that moment?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but that's what you're rewarding. That's what you're telling them you like. That's the most important piece.
And and the worst thing maybe that dog came to, okay, I want to challenge you.
Yeah. Yeah. Pet your dog only when you call him to you.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'd even add, are they looking at you or not? Because it becomes a reinforcement of what they're thinking, not what you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking. I mean, I have
Mm-hmm.
so many clients that pet their dog now for something the dog did 3 weeks ago. You were so good at the groomer when you got home last week. And the dog's thinking, give me that food that you have in your hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they're thinking, that's the connection that we have to look at. What we're thinking and what they're thinking is two different things. That's why it's important. It's more important not to touch them if you're not sure what they're thinking. But then
Mm-hmm.
it gets into what you were saying too, is it makes us feel good. By doing something for them, it makes us feel good, even if it's causing our own problem later on. Um, One of the other things you talked about that I think it's a struggle for a lot of people because we see excitement. And I think this really becomes clear once you start working more with aggression and realizing how close aggression and excitement are, how fast the dog can go from excited to aggressive. Um, Maybe not your dog, but it is
Yeah.
what dogs do, is don't create emotional excitement when your dog is in your personal space. And the physical, the roughhousing, um, is just creating more confusion for your dog. And when your presence, I had this happen once at daycare. Teresa walked up to the fence, and as soon as she walked up to the fence, her dog went like this and just peeled away. And it was just like a poof to me. It was like, does your presence change your dog's preferences? Does your personal interaction with that environment change the way your dog behaves? Yes or no, good or bad, doesn't matter. What does it do? And for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, your presence makes their dog more excited.
Yeah.
So it's something that you're saying to try to avoid. Yeah?
What?
I said it's something that
Uh,
you were saying to try to avoid, is just creating that excitement.
we should avoid it, you mean?
Yeah.
And not, I guess, avoiding not the right word. We need consciously choose not to do it
Mm-hmm.
because it's leading to this, that, and this.
Yeah. And it's a struggle for me too because people need that. They enjoy that. So then they never look at that as a possible
Okay,
cause.
then let's add something. When people enjoy an excitement here, for example, when they came home, so if your dog pulling on leash, is he is doing it very calmly, or he is a little bit excited? If your dog lunging at other dogs or animals, is he very calm or adrenalized in that state, reacting, moving fast? If the dog have separation anxiety, is he whining all day long and destroying everything very calm and slow? No, he's excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, and this is how for my opinion, we're creating dogs who cannot control themselves emotionally.
Yeah.
They can go from 0 to 10 in a 1 second and to uh, turn off from that state of mind. For them, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
Some of them don't know how to do this at all
Yeah.
until we start like doing something and teaching them how to be naturally balanced.
Yeah. And just another quick rule
Mm-hmm.
to me for avoiding getting bit by dogs is don't reach at dogs. Reaching
Yeah.
at a dog, like one of the things I love Brandon always says is reaching at a dog is doing something dominant, but then when you get there, it's doing something submissive. And
Mm-hmm.
that is an absolute way for certain dogs that will penalize you for that. And if the dog is in a sit stay or some things like this and it can't make a decision, it can be even more of a nightmare. Where
Oh
I
yeah.
was sharing a story the other day. I took my dog to a dog food store that just opened up around the corner, and the lady reached at my dog, And the dog backed up, and the lady was like, "Whoa, that's weird." And I was like, "Well, so was reaching at a strange dog you don't know. You're lucky you didn't get bit." And she was like, "Huh?" I'm like, "Oh, she owns the pet store." I'm like, oh, man, like so many dogs are going to go in there and, with a person running it, 4 dogs with just
An
basic knowledge.
interesting thing, people who doing this, I guess they will not enjoy, for example, that lady, not judging her, but using her as an example. If everybody who come in to her store will try to touch her, she will not enjoy it.
Yeah.
Interesting how we projecting that idea on dogs, and we sure that they like it.
Yeah. Every dog should. It's a bad dog if it doesn't,
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, not at
So,
all.
yeah. So some quick tips to avoid separation anxiety. My mother-in-law had asked this question, so this is partly why I didn't answer your question yet, Mama G, because we were going to get to this. Ignore your dog when you get home. Are you smiling because my mother-in-law likes you better than me? She messages me all the time. Artem took his dog. I'm like, okay, Artem's great. Okay, I get it, right? Go visit him in the Ukraine. Ignore your dog when you come home. And this is a huge place where people misplace excitement for happiness. You had a long, stressful day. You come home, your dog gets excited, and it makes you happy. And
Yeah.
we don't see how that also leads to stress when you leave.
Yeah, and many other things. When somebody will brawl a pizza, she will be at the doors and making all of that stuff,
Absolutely.
and then we will be telling, no, 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 get
Where did
away,
you learn
please.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you learn that?
Yeah.
Behave nicely.
Yeah. Don't let your dogs follow you everywhere around the house. Yes. Um, that's definitely can lead
At
to.
least not reinforce that,
Exactly. That's what I was going to.
because to make him back off, it's like on consultations, I'm teaching how to do this because I'm seeing the dog, I'm seeing the owner, what's happening between them, but at least not reinforce it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Most people turn the natural behavior of following into a neurotic behavior by giving the dog attention when they're doing something that they already naturally know how to do. So a puppy knows how to
Yeah,
follow. It becomes
yeah,
neurotic and turns into separation anxiety, where
yeah.
if I go to the bathroom and then my dog comes and I pet his head and I tell him, "Oh, you're so good," and then I go to the
Uh-huh.
kitchen, or "You're following daddy again," then it becomes their job. And they think, "Whoa, wait a second." And certain dogs are cool with it. Like I got 2 dogs on the couch right now, they're dead asleep, that wouldn't have that problem. But you get the wrong type of dog, a little bit skittish, and you will absolutely have that problem show up as soon as you try to leave. They're going to jump at the door and go, "Hey, wait, how do I get out of this puzzle of trying to follow you now? You always leave the bathroom door open. I can get in there. We go to the kitchen, there's no problem." And then you get dogs that jump out of windows and do these extreme things to follow you. Um, you know, and it's how we are with them when we're home that can really emphasize the importance of following me. Um, so just some basic things there. I mean, to get people to start with separation anxiety is, being able to get your dog to stay in another room. But, when I'm sweeping, a lot of times I'll chase my dogs out of the room. Just say, "Get out of here, go, go, go." And then they go lay somewhere else. Right? And it's just a very natural behavior to say, like, this space is now off limits. There's bombs out here. And,
Yeah.
mostly it's because my one dog, he's like a Velcro.
And there is very interesting things. Mostly I'm seeing owners who have problems. They cannot make their dogs to back off from their personal space.
Yep.
So how then you will be using yourself to back off your pit bull trying to attack another dog,
Yeah,
because he's unstoppable here
absolutely.
towards you. So then how you expecting to influence him by yourself, using yourself, your presence, your actions to back off from doing like aggression? Oh, okay, not even aggression, like not jumping on
People,
people when
absolutely.
somebody
Basic.
yeah, no, yeah,
Um, don't let your dog in your personal space when eating. For me, this is a great place where when I have dogs here, boarding or for daycare or wherever,
Mm-hmm.
to get them to start understanding the exercise of claiming. When something
Mm-hmm.
is mine, what you should do with
Mm-hmm.
your feet. And when I sit down to have dinner, the best thing that you can do for yourself is to go in the opposite direction. Wherever that is, I don't care, just
Yeah.
not here. I'm not a micromanager. I have one thing in my mind, which is don't eat my food, don't come near my food. You can go lay on the couch, you can go lay on your veranda bed, you can go lay on the bed, you can go, I don't we have so many other places that you can go, unless I don't like one of those things. So that's one of the things Brandon talks about a lot is, tell your dogs what you don't like and everything else you must like until you don't like something again. And that's it. It's very simple to live with our dogs that way. It's not, it's less confusing.
And again, it's very interesting. Most of us know that if there is a two dogs in a space, one is eating, another approaching, mostly, not every time, but mostly what we will see, the one will do this, like, back off, I'm eating here, that food is mine.
Yep.
And it can be dogs who live in together without any problems for 10 years, but when it's about food, the one saying back off to another.
Yeah. Or whatever
And
the
people saying,
resource.
yeah, I saw this. So then why you sharing your food?
Yeah. Whatever
Oh,
the resource is.
because he wants to, like, he's so cute, but he's not thinking that way. He's thinking the same thing as that situation with the dog,
Yeah.
another dog.
And I actually had to look this word up, and this is why it's amazing when you use this word. And because English isn't your first language and you use this word, I don't know where you heard it, but I was like, whoa, okay. Behave univocal.
Yeah.
I was like, what the?
I'm using that word in Russian. That's why I went to Google Translator, and I actually there is I guess it's three different versions how I can tell this,
Yeah,
but being univocal the most
absolutely.
uh, describing the most.
Yeah. And what you had said in this was for your intentions and your actions to make it very
Yeah.
clear, have one meaning. And I just, I mean, this isn't something that needs to get really elaborated on, but I mean, it's, are you black and white? Are you doing things that you like, but you don't really like them, but then you like them? We have to be honest about it. I mean, it's really, so one of the things I do univocally with my dogs is they are not allowed to jump on me, right? Nobody are they allowed to jump on because it's just a nightmare, right? So I had the one time, the only dog that can do it is my biggest dog. My other one has bad hips, and the other one, jumps at your knees, and she would never do that. But I can't really do it here. I'll do it like this. When I put my arms out to the side, like this, but wider, I'll do it wider like this, but I'll put my hands out like this side. That's the only time Kita is allowed to put her paws up on me, right? And for whatever reason, right? It started from when we did bite work and different things. I would go like this, and then she would jump on me. It was a way that I would reward her playing like a rough game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really funny because going back to univocally, I had a friend over a few months ago. I guess you know where this story's going. And the person goes, "Aren't you so cute?" And I'm like, "Oh God!" I started laughing, and without even realizing it, she goes like this. And Kita jumps on her, and I'm like, "Oh my God!" It was so funny. But she was like, "Well, you must know, right?" She's like, univocally, like that's what that means. I don't know you, but hey, I'm going. So being very clear, that's what I tell people. Like, it's not about yes or no. It's about doing it the way you can. If I come home and my dogs don't jump on me and I go like this and they can jump on me, that's my choice. But
Yes.
it's still dictated by me. So
Yes.
being consistent in your actions, I mean, that's a self-awareness thing. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But we always like, do you really want to be clear? Like you had said, I'm excited when you come home, but I'm upset when you bark at the pizza man or the mailman.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. For us, it's not. We can intellectualize it, but for the dog, it's the same thing. You want to jump in?
Yeah, I wanted to add, like, and if we will dig, like, everybody can do that job on their own. If we will dig into it deeper, our dogs live in chaos. Like there is similar actions, and we're asking them to do different things. Like today I'm having nice dress, don't jump on me. Tomorrow I have wearing jeans. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Like boom. And it's not about jumping at all. If we will dig deeper, it's about having physical interaction, disrespect. We asking to disrespect us, our personal space, and then we asking like respect me when I'm asking you to back off back off and walk behind me, not pull me.
Yeah.
So everything is so connected, and why they have hierarchy, because it's creating non-chaos interaction.
Yeah. And this kind of goes with that, and then also the ones we were talking about before, which is if you one of the things, like again, like we talked about like my background and different things, really understanding classical conditioning, not from a marker training or any, in a bigger picture of what classical conditioning is. It's an involuntary response. It's involuntary. So when your dog clicks, when you click that clicker and your dog gets excited and expects food, it's involuntary. You've conditioned it to be that way. So if we condition our dogs to, in our presence, to be excitable, then how do we expect them when we don't want them to be excitable to not be excitable? Because we represent the problem. And it's not even a conscious choice. It's like, Michael Ellis used to tell this thing all the time, and I love this story. We were talking about explaining the difference between classical conditioning and operant conditioning. He would say, you go out, you work a full day, you're about to sit down and have pizza, and you're hungry. Your mouth is drooling, your stomach is hungry. Right as you're about to eat the pizza, I say, here's $10,000 not to eat the pizza. And you're like, cool, no pizza for me. Did I change your hunger? No, you're still hungry. But operant condition is changing your choice of whether you want to do it or not. So I can't change your hunger. You're going to be hungry, but I can change your behavior. So involuntary response is when we create these excitements, that's what we represent to our dog. And that's what, if we're throwing toys and doing things and then our dog sees things out on the walk, we're part of the problem. And then we're trying to solve it. You can't have it both ways.
We like a big red button, start doing this when something moving around.
Absolutely.
Like being around you means that, boom.
Yeah. And this is a hard one for people, and because it triggers emotions in them. But again, I always tell people, it's not about you. Unfortunately, you got a dog, so it's about them too, right? It's about them too, and it's one of the things Brandon says all the time. I love it. It's pretty easy to live with your dogs. Just tell them what you don't like all the time. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't jump on me. Don't do this. And then everything else you like. So that's a happy day for them. Like the dogs are dead asleep. Every dog in my house is dead asleep somewhere. That must be the perfect place. Until it's not. Until I say, let's go, we're going outside to pee. Then all of a sudden it's not the perfect place anymore. The perfect place is outside. So what I'm saying is, I don't like that you're sleeping now. We got to go outside and pee. And it's hard, because we get dogs for these other reasons.
For another reason.
And we're not conscious of it at the time, but we get them, and then we forget why. I mean, I wrote a whole ebook on this. It's on my website about choosing the perfect family dog, and that's what it starts with: is why am I getting a dog in the first place? Like, what's happening here? Like, what's going on? Because that's where your dog is going to be when you get him. Is he supposed to be your protector because you have a boyfriend that's crazy? Did you just break up with your girlfriend and you're moving cross country and you're looking for a replacement human? I mean, that's who your dog is going to be. And if you don't pick the right one, you're going to have serious problems. So I don't know if you have anything. I know it's late for you, so I know you had a long day. Normal. Okay.
Can you read that list? How to say it?
The list?
That bullet points of personal space. Just read it. like this, that. Again,
Yeah.
to summarize, like
Be in control of your personal space. Um, so the two things we started with were every time you touch your dog, you're either sharing your strength or your weakness. And this is a great place to start when you realize how much you're touching your dog. How out of balance is it? How out of balance is it? Because dogs don't do that just for shits and giggles. They don't just run around touching each other for no reason. Avoid petting your dog when they enter your personal space. Super easy.
always.
Always. Pet your dog only when you call him and when he's attentive to you. If you call your dog to you and they spin around and look out into the world and you pet them, you're telling them, I like when you don't look at me and you scan the environment to hunt things. So if you call your dog, they sit and they look at you and they eyeballs. Who cares if they sit? That's not important, but I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
And they're looking at you.
And attention is there on you. He's thinking about you. He's thinking about interaction with you, not about something else.
Yeah.
And also doing things that you're telling him to do.
Yeah. Yes. Don't create emotion and excitement when your dog is in your personal space, because that's where most of our problems are happening, on the leash. When, when we're around, that's where the dogs are happening. Never reach at a dog. Whether you're your dog, not a dog, don't let people reach at your dog. That's not cool. Dogs don't like that. If a dog comes over and smells you and stays around you, go ahead. I know when you point at me, you got something to say.
Yeah, because some dogs, especially, okay, no matter which kind of dogs, because it can be different type of dogs, but the thing can be the same. If somebody living with the dog and always reaching to pat that dog, and that dog never behave aggressively towards the owner, but another thing is happening, you behaving like a puppy and always looking for attention of your dog.
Yes.
So your attention, nothing for him. And when you're calling him, come here, he's looking at no. You come. I'm lying here.
Yeah.
I'm lying down here.
Yep. No, absolutely.
So yeah, like making nothing about humans' attention.
Yeah. Ignore your dog when you come home. This is a piece that people get confused about and can start to create separation anxiety.
Do you hear me?
I do now.
Something happened.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Don't let your dogs follow you everywhere. If your dog does follow you, don't make a big deal out of it. Don't freak out. Don't make it a big deal, because it's what they're supposed to do. So let them do what they're supposed to do and feel good about it. You aren't so important that your pat on the head is going to change the way they feel about everything. Like, get over yourself, right? They enjoy learning to process themselves. I was at a client's this weekend, and the dog was sniffing in this basket and was all concerned. It was holding himself back. And I said, how bad do you want to reach in and give him that toy? And she was like, yeah, I want to help him. I was like, no. Let him go through the process himself. It'll be so much more enjoyable than you coming in right now. If his leash was stuck on something, yes, come in and be the superhero. He can't figure that out, but this is not about you. This is about him figuring out, how do I feel? Should I be doing this? All of that stuff. So talked about mealtime, giving yourself personal space, keeping your intentions and actions consistent. I gave the embarrassing story of my dog jumping on that lady because she did the hand gesture. And this is another one. Equitable, emotional. I had to look up some words that you wrote here. I love this. This is like so great. If you are excitement, then you're going to get excitement in your presence. And then I'll close with that video with Jake, when you can see him coming in and how his presence did not increase excitement. For a moment, it made everybody really thoughtful. And then how our behavior creates a classical conditioned response for our dogs. Do we represent excitement? Do we represent, what does the car represent? Does the car represent going to the dog park? I mean, things get patterned by a stimulant and then what it's followed by. So click and food. You come home, excitement, all these kinds of things. I think we should, because I think the next part that we were going to talk about, which was the aggression and the dominance and toys things, I think we should save that for another one. You think that's good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should save that. So we'll make that our next one, because that's a huge piece too.
And we will post a text version of that.
Yeah. Are you giving me more homework?
Points
Okay.
somewhere. I will post it. I know where to post it.
No, I love that.
Okay.
So what I'll just leave it in this. We'll talk about the muzzles too. I think we should do. I'm going to make a note here. I think the muzzles would be a great video by itself. The toys and things, we could talk about that. But I think just a way to leave this is, if I was to tell you not to talk to your dog or touch your dog for 24 hours, how would that make you feel? Right away, did your heart just drop? There's a good place to start about the potential imbalance that you have in your relationship. Because to me, it's, to people that get results, it's not a big deal. I mean, and it's what I always laugh is it's not forever. It's just, can you physically do it? And if you can physically do it, then that's a good place to start changing the way you interact with your dog. So if you have
and this is change on attitude we talked about in the beginning. Attitudes.
Yeah. And the no talking for me is needless talking. Not like, hey, come here, I need you. That's different.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like, come home, or you're looking at your dog, oh, Fluffy, you're so cute. Like I had this woman the same woman that I was just dealing with this weekend. When she went into the kitchen, she said, hey, you back up, guys, shut the door. I'm going to get your water. And then then this is no joke. I'm going to fill your water up here. Do you guys want a drink? She had a 2-minute conversation with two animals that had no idea what she was talking about. And then she was wondering why when she needs something, they don't pay attention. And I was like, well, how often does your boyfriend pay attention when you're on the phone with your mother? He doesn't, because he hears you, but it has nothing to do with him. And you might actually have to say his name twice, Joe. And that because she might be talking about Joe. And then she go, Joe. And he's like, oh, what? Right? You actually have to learn to pay attention, because so much of it you're just ignoring because it has nothing to do with you. So the more you talk, you're just teaching your dog to ignore you. You're teaching
And
them
this is not their way of communication. They don't have that ability to understand. They learn in it that our words mean something. Yeah. Actions. Come here, back off, and all of that stuff.
So I'm just going to do this quick video of, I'll share this quick one with Jake, and then if you have any closing things, let me know.
Right now? Yep. Yeah, let's do it.
I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, actually, because it's with this program. But yeah, so I'm going to resume the last video. So my two dogs were playing here in the living room.
Nothing. I don't see anything.
Yeah. So here he comes. Strength of personality separates, causes the feet to move away. Tail gets low and slow. He comes over. Her head gets low. Tail gets still. Submissive body posture because of his presence. He didn't run up and bite anybody. When he's done, he walks away. And then look what she wants to do. Follow. Huh. Not quite sure.
Straight up respect.
And then this is moments after. So he wasn't telling him stop forever. He just wanted them to know that his presence can make a change in what they do. And now he goes back to sleep. And what he taught them was that next time the same behavior will get rewarded, which is go back to doing what you're doing. So if you guys watch these two online, I mean, they fight all the time in a fun way. And this is Gracie. Beautiful pit bull. If you move into your room, if you can move into a situation like that and get that kind of compliance, I'm going to go back to it real quick, can get that kind of compliance, you're doing the right things. So your dog is doing something, barking at the door, whatever they're doing. If you just coming in, could you imagine if you could do that at your front door when the dog is barking at the front door? Just your pure presence to create that kind of, wow, it's beautiful. He's a master. He is an absolute master, and I wish he would be around forever because I have so much more to learn from him. She didn't take it personal.
Straight up respect.
She didn't take it personal. So, anyway, anything to close on, Artem? I'm back. I know you look comfortable. It's bedtime. Anything else? You good?
I mean, everything starts from our personal interaction with the dog, because in every situation where we see a problem, it's still we trying to influence the dog. So who you are many minutes before that situation, when I'm doing something, who you are, how I feel around you, what you making me to do, how you making me to feel, and what you teaching me every day by just interacting at home, on a couch, on a kitchen.
Absolutely.
When you came home, when you petting me, when I'm coming towards your personal space. And you know, sometimes I'm seeing dogs, not sometimes, it's really often, dogs coming towards the personal space of humans to put pressure on them, and to make, and that making dogs feel good. So what kind of relationships you have your dog, like I don't know how to say it in English, but
puts pressure on you, and they
not
feel,
respecting you.
Yeah.
And you seeing that, like, he loves me or things like that. Not blaming people for not knowing this, but when people notice, this is like this is a choice.
Absolutely.
Knowing this and still doing that.
And I'll just add real quick to what you're saying is, and this is something Brandon would say a lot, is it's really not about when the dog does something then. It's about all the other times. And for example, with that video I just showed of Jake, he's if somebody is laying in a bed and he wanders over and lays in the same bed, sometimes the dog moves, sometimes it doesn't, depending on the dog. But usually they do. So when nothing's going on, just by him laying there makes the other dog move away, is what makes him earn the right in that video. When he goes towards them, they do the same thing when actually something is happening. So when doing things when nothing's happening is powerful. And that's, we know some things that we do, but I don't want to talk too much about that right now. But, doing...
And here where dogs, univocal is not from my head.
Yeah.
It's from there.
Absolutely.
They univocal. He's univocal everywhere.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And consistent.
All right, bud. You have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for your time and staying awake for us. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
We
thank
love you guys. If you have any questions, by all means, leave some comments.
Just leave comments and questions here. Maybe we will add something in the next show, and next show will be like second part of that topic, because we still have some things that daily happening between us and our dogs, and it's more about aggression.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right, bud. You have a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.